Woo! I can't believe I'm actually getting the opportunity to sit down and film this video for you guys. That's the real tea. Sis is a mom now, okay? Sis is a whole mom, and it takes me a minute now to actually get to sit down and actually do a sit down one-on-one video with you guys. This is crazy. This is crazy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is TAKARA ONEÁ, or you can call me Teeks. It is whichever one that you would prefer to call me. And today I am back with a highly requested video. This video has been highly requested. Y'all have been leaving me comments, DMs. Y'all have been commenting on my labor and delivery vlog, telling me that I needed to do a labor and delivery story time video. And I figured, I was like, hey, you know what, that's actually a good idea. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down and do this video for them, because if the girls want a labor and delivery story time video, the girls are gonna get a labor and delivery story time video, okay? So if you have been living under a rock, or if you are brand spanking new to my channel, I recently just gave birth. Well, not recently, but 3 months ago, 3 months exactly, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Her name is Zahara. She's actually sitting right here, looking dead at me right now. I have her in her swing. This was like the only way I can soothe her, so that way I can actually film this video for you guys. So if you guys hear the swinging back and forth in the background, that is Zahara. So yeah, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl 3 months ago. Her name is Zahara Onita, and she was born on November 17th of 2020 at 11:16 p.m. which is so crazy. She was born 11:17 at 11:16 p.m. which is crazy. Yeah, she actually had her doctor's appointment yesterday. You guys will see a vlog of that this Saturday, so you guys should definitely tune in to my Teeks Weeks vlog, so that way you can see like my mom life. So basically, if you like mom vlogs and you're into fashion, or you're an entrepreneur, then this is definitely the channel for you, because here on this channel, I am going to be talking about all things fashion and now mommy lifestyle. So sis is a mom now. I am a whole new mom. But yeah, you guys went super crazy on my labor and delivery vlog. Thank you guys so much for all of the love and support on that video. If you haven't had a chance to see that vlog, I'm going to link it up here. But yeah, like when I posted that vlog, I vlogged my whole, my whole labor. But because, of all the little things with the hospitals and things like that, they don't really allow you to record in the hospitals. So they don't allow you to record your actual birth, like the actual delivery of the baby coming out. They do let you, record afterwards and things of that sort. And I was kind of like sneaking recording, the whole labor at the beginning. Yeah, mommy was sneaking. Mommy was sneaking the camera. But me and Zil, my boyfriend, we actually forgot to actually sneak the part of where she was being born, where she was coming out. So we didn't actually catch that part of the vlog. I know a lot of people end up catching it, like they'll hide their phone or hide the camera, but unfortunately we didn't get that part. So I am coming on here today to basically kind of retell my labor and basically tell you my experience of my delivery, like my delivery experience, my birth experience of actually pushing out a whole baby and how I did it. How did I stay in the motions? I know there's a lot of new moms out there, a lot of first time moms out there, or maybe you already have a child and you just are interested in hearing my story, or you maybe already have kids and maybe you're pregnant again and you just want, you need that motivation on, when it's time to deliver your next baby. I got you, girl. I got you. So yeah, that is why I made this video, because I already know, like when I was pregnant and I was a first time mom, I was really curious to, Mommy was really curious to know what it was gonna be like to push out a baby. I think that's what I feared the most, was the delivery part, the labor part. The rest of my pregnancy went smooth, but like labor and delivery, I had like anxiety about like thinking about it. So right, like a couple months before my due date, all I was doing was watching birth vlogs on YouTube. I was watching birth vlogs, you know, pushing advice, breathing advice, like anything that had to do with labor and delivery, I was watching those videos. So hopefully this video helps you out, and you know, just calms you a little bit, because I just want to let you guys know that it's really, I mean, it's bad, it is bad, but it's not, I mean, you'll get through it, okay? You'll get through it. Our bodies were made for this. Our bodies were made for this. So there's literally nothing to fear, you guys. I know it can be a really, really scary situation, but I'm here to tell you I did it, and you for sure can do it as well. I got a lot of girls DMing me saying, hey, my due date is coming up. I need you to kick out that labor and delivery story time, sis, because I need the tea, I need advice, I need every little details and bits and tips that I can get. And if you're watching this video and you're not pregnant, you know, you can always refer back to this video later on when you do have kids or you do get pregnant. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into, you know, my experience. Let's go. All right, so I believe I got a lot of questions of people asking me when was my due date. So my original due date was November the 29th. So it first started off as my due date being December the 2nd, and then she pushed it back and was like, no, you're gonna be due on November the 29th. And I ended up going into labor like way earlier than that. Actually, I went into labor, I think 3 days after my baby shower. My baby shower was on the 14th, and I gave birth on the 17th. So I touched on this in my vlog video, but on November the 17th, so my boyfriend, we woke up on the 17th. He usually goes to work around like 6-7 o'clock. So he wakes up around like 6 to start getting ready, and for some reason that particular day he woke up and he was like, hey, like I have a dentist appointment today, so let me know if you start feeling anything, you know, just keep me updated throughout the day on how you're feeling, because a couple of days before my baby shower I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor had told me that I was already 3 centimeters dilated. So when you're 3 centimeters, that's kind of like, you're basically, you're like not too far from starting to go in labor. I think they recommend you to start going to the hospital at like 4 centimeters. So yeah, I was at 3, and that was like 3 days before my baby shower. So we wake up, and it's like literally, like I literally wrote it down, 7:20 a.m. in the morning, and me and him are in the middle of talking, exchanging combos about the dentist office, him going to the dentist, and I feel like a gush come out of me, and I'm like, I think my water just broke. And I was like, nah, maybe not. I was like, maybe I just kind of like tinkled on myself, because you know the baby like kicks my bladder, and like I'm always running back and forth to the bathroom. So I was like, I think I just kind of tinkled on myself. So I didn't think anything of it. Around 7:35 I went to the bathroom and I checked myself, and it was just like a little bit. It wasn't a lot, it was a little bit. So I just changed my underwear, got back in the bed, and my boyfriend was like, hey, you sure you don't want to go to the doctor or whatever? And I was like, no. I was like, I don't think that was my water. I was like, I think I really just peed on myself. So he was like, okay, just keep me updated, blah blah blah, right? So went back to sleep after he left, and then around like 10 o'clock, 10:30ish, I was wet again. I'm like, what the heck? I was like, I'm wet again. Like, I was like, dang, I keep peeing on myself. So I got up, I was like, let me just get in the shower and like start my day. So I got up, got in the shower, and I got out, I changed my underwear, you know, blase blase, whatever. After I changed my underwear, I started I was kind of like in that like mode of like, I was still getting my stuff together, like my hospital bag and all of that stuff, because I knew, like, I was like, it could be anytime soon that I go into labor. So I was just like still trying to just get all of my stuff together. So I kind of waited a while before I decided to call the doctor. I started researching on my phone, like, hey, like, does this mean that your water is breaking? And I kept seeing things that said your water usually breaks, your underwear will be wet, you change your underwear and then it's like you're still leaking and stuff like that. That usually means it's your water. sometimes your water can be like big burst of like water, or it can be like little like leakages or whatever, like just trickling or whatever like that. So I was kind of like not being able to determine if my water had broke or not, because it wasn't like a, you know, like the dramatics that they tell us on the movies and things like that. So I started texting my mom and everybody, and I started texting my sister that was like, yeah, you might be in labor. I would just call your doctor's office just in case, just to get like a second opinion. So around like 2 o'clock, I ended up calling my doctor's office, and mind you, Zell had a dentist appointment at 4. So I'm like telling him, hey, you might not be able to go to the dentist because homeboy, I might be in labor. I was like, I think my water just broke. I called my doctor, and like I'm like real calm on the phone. I'm like, hey, you know, like I think my water might have broke, but I can't really tell. I thought maybe I just peed on myself. Like, yeah, so like I don't know, I can't really tell if it's my water or not. And the lady was like,
yeah, that's definitely your water.
She was like, yeah, she was like, so yeah, like we're gonna have you go ahead and make your way to your doctor's office or whatever like that. And she was like, oh my god, she was like, this is so exciting. Oh my god, you're like the first girl I ever like encountered to be like so calm, because usually first time moms are like, or people are like on the phone freaking out when they call the doctor's office. And she was like, you're just so calm and chill about it. She was like, I love it. And I'm like, yeah, like I was like, well, I feel like I'm calm because I was like, I don't feel any contractions. So she kept asking me, she was like, do you have any contractions? And I'm like, no, I don't feel any pain. I was like, but my water broke. So she was like, yeah, you want to go ahead and start getting your stuff together and making your way to the doctor's office. She was like, so what time can you be here around? And I was like, well, I did tell my boyfriend that I was calling you guys, and I told him to prepare himself to leave from work, so maybe like around 3 o'clock. And she was like, okay, 3 o'clock go work, blah blah blah. So Zell books it home. So I started getting myself together. Girl, I wanted to get cute and stuff like that. I didn't even get to do my makeup and stuff like I wanted to. I had almost took my little ponytail out and started flat under my hair, and I'm glad I didn't do that. Girl. It was just crazy. So he gets home, and we are just going through it at this point, y'all. At this point, I started freaking out a little bit, because I'm like, now there's like a lot of water starting to gush out of me, and I'm like freaking out. And then I'm like, babe, like, and then it's like the gush coming out, and he was like, was that your water? I'm like, yeah, like there's even more coming out. So it was just, girl, it was just a lot of chaotic nonsense going on. He finally hurried up, jumped in the shower, and we got our stuff together, and we started heading to the doctor's. So we go to my doctor, and they told me to go to my actual doctor's office. I go or whatever, and right next to it is the birthing center, but they told me to come to my doctor's office. Even though my doctor wasn't there, she was on vacation, they told me to come in. They were gonna have a different doctor look at me or whatever, to see how far I had dilated, to see if they needed to check me in or not, or send me home. I go in, and I see the girls who always usually check me in, and I'm like, hey, like, I think my water broke, and they told me to come up here to come see my doctor. And they was like, if your water broke, you need to be at the birthing center. And I'm like, okay. And so they're like, oh my god, like, are you okay? Like, because I was so calm, I'm walking, I'm not having contractions, I'm just sitting up here telling people my water broke, and they're like freaking out, like, why are you so calm? Like, you're literally in labor. So I'm like, sis, I mean, I'm not having contractions, so I mean, I don't know how this works. Like, I'm just confused, like, girl, I don't know. So I walk back out, I'm like telling my boyfriend, I'm like, they talking about we need to go to the birthing center, blah 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 blah. So I go back, get back in the car. He's getting frustrated, I'm getting frustrated. The lady calls me and was like, hey Takara, are you still making your way up here to the doctor's office? And I said, yeah. Like, I'm like, I literally just walked in, and they sent me back out and told me to go to the birthing center. She was like, no. She was like, I'm gonna talk to them at the desk. She was like, come back into the doctor's office. She was like, I already, you know, we already have somebody who's about to look at you or whatever like that. She was like, I'm gonna send somebody out there to come get you. So I'm like, all right. So I walk back in, I tell them, you know, what the lady on the phone told me, and they're like, oh yeah, like, we're sorry, like, blah blah blah, yeah, are you Miss Grimes? And blah blah, like, trying to like play it off. And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm Miss Grimes. Like, girl, I'm in freaking labor right now. I ain't got time for y'all to be playing with me, playing these games, okay? I specifically had picked a black woman doctor. Unfortunately, it was a Caucasian man doctor that looked at me. So I walked back there and he's just like asking me, did I have any contractions, anything like that. He checks me and that was that. He doesn't say anything. He checks me and he walks out the room. He tells me to put my clothes back on. So I'm like, okay. When I go back to the bathroom, I start freaking bleeding. Like, I'm bleeding in the toilet. So I'm like freaking out, thinking that I'm like literally having a miscarriage, y'all. Like, I'm freaking out because I'm seeing blood. And I don't know how labor works. Like, but I guess like once they check you to like see if you're dilated or not, like that's normal. So I like rush out to the hallway, like open the door, and there's like a nurse in the hallway, and I'm like, hey, like I'm bleeding, like is this like, I'm like, I like, can somebody, like I need, like girl, why am I bleeding? Like, and she was like, what type of blood is it? She was like, is it like a flow or is it just like a leak? And I said, it's just like a little like leak, like, and it's thin. And she was like, oh, that's normal. She was like, that's just because he checked your cervix. So yeah, she was like, yeah, so it's gonna do that. She was like, no, she was like, that's normal, you're good. And I'm like, okay, woo. So I was literally freaking out because, girl, I'm literally sitting up here thinking that I'm having a freaking miscarriage right when my water broke. So that happened. So I go back in, I put my clothes on, and I'm still texting Zale, and I'm like, the doctor didn't say anything. He just checked my cervix, walked back out, told me to put my clothes on. I'm like, and then I started bleeding. And he was like, babe, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like crying. So he walks back in and he was like, so, he was like, yeah. He was like, I think we're going to go ahead and send you over to the birthing center. He was like, I'm actually going to walk you over there myself. He was like, because, yeah, he was like, you've dilated some more. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and he's not telling me anything. And he was like, so are you still not feeling any contractions? And I'm like, no. And he was like, oh, okay. He was like, all right, so let's go. So I'm like, okay, walking, and he's just looking at me. He was like, you're so small. And he was like, your stomach's so small, did they check you? But maybe the baby's not going to be that big because you're small, blah blah. So he's just having this like casual small talk. We're walking up this hill outside. He takes me outside. We're walking up this hill outside. As we're walking outside, he was like, I didn't want to freak you out or anything. He was like, but you're at, I think he said, you're at 5 or 4 centimeters. It was one of them. I think I was at 4 centimeters. He's like, but no, he was like, you're at 5. No, it was 4. He was like, you're at 4 centimeters. And I said, for real? He was like, yeah, or whatever. Like, he was like, yeah, you're definitely in labor. So we get into the hospital and there's a group of nurses. Like, they just look up at me, and he's a doctor, so they just look up at him. They looking at me like I'm like a creep. Like, I don't know, it was so weird. And they was like, yeah, we need to go ahead and get Takara checked in. You know, her water broke, she's in labor right now, so we need to go ahead and get her a room. And everybody just pauses and is just looking at me like I'm not in labor. And I'm like, okay, like, are y'all just staring at me because I'm not having contractions and y'all find it weird? Like, I don't know, it was just weird. So I'm like, okay. So everybody, first of all, that hospital was rude. I didn't really like the hospital that I was in. It was cool, I did my research on it, but they were still rude. Like, the nurses and stuff were rude. They were rude, honey. They were rude. So they finally get me in a room, and Zale's like texting me like, babe, where are you at? Like, can I, yeah. He's like, babe, where are you at? Can I come in? Do I need to bring the bags and stuff like that? I'm like, yeah, like, they're checking me in a room. They're checking me in. They're admitting me. Get in the room. The lady tells me to strip down so I can put the gown on and things like that. And I put my gown on, and she comes in, and she was like, are you by yourself? And I'm like, no. And this lady was really friendly. She took me up to the IVs and all of that stuff. When she started hooking me up to the IVs, she was like, so you're not having contractions, so we're gonna hook you up, blah blah, give you this medicine, all this stuff. So she was basically talking about me being induced. And so I was like, are you guys inducing me? And she was like, yeah, we're gonna be inducing you. And I said, well, I really don't want to get induced because I'm like, you know, I really want to do it the most natural way possible. I was like, and I just really don't want to do that. And she just looked at me. She was like, oh no. She was like, you're already 4 centimeters. Like, you're already dilated. You might as well just go ahead and get it over with and have this baby girl or whatever like that. She was like, it's just going to be the faster process. And I'm just looking at her and I'm like, she was like, and it's just going to be, and I'm like, okay, I guess. Like, I didn't really do my research on inducing and stuff like that. I mean, I've heard of it and stuff, but I'm like, okay. So she hooked me up and things like that, and I'm finally in the room, and another woman comes in, and she just like has to like to get all my information and things like that. And she of course gave me a COVID test, which not even that bad, by the way. Hi baby, what's wrong? You okay? You okay? You can't reach the stars? You can reach the stars, baby. Don't let them ever tell you that you can't. Yeah, you can touch those stars. Lady had gave me a COVID test, which really wasn't that bad. You know, it wasn't really that bad. Basically, because of COVID, well, I was allowed to only have one person in the room because of COVID, but we were able to swap in and out. So the whole time during my labor, my mom and my boyfriend were swapping in and out. So most of the time you guys seen my mom, but I know a lot of people were like, oh, like, you know, where was your boyfriend and all this stuff. I'm like, he was there, I just didn't really film him because, like I said, he likes his privacy. He doesn't really like to be on camera like that, so I didn't, you know, do all of that. But yeah, he was present during my labor, and he was there when the baby was delivered, when Zahara was delivered. So me and Zale, we're sitting in there, we're sitting in the room after they've hooked me up, and I still wasn't feeling the contractions. So we're just sitting there, me and him are casually just talking, and all of a sudden the nurses start rushing in to the room. They start rushing into the room, and this was like by the time like they put my IV in and started the inducing. So they start rushing in the room, and they're like, turn over to your side. Okay, turn over to this side. And they're like, and I'm like all calm and stuff like that. I'm literally calm, still not having contractions. I'm 4 centimeters dilated. And they're like, yeah, like the lady who hooked me up, who I told I didn't want to be induced, she was like, I said, yeah, so what happened? And so she was like, well, basically the baby's heartbeat just dropped, and I just don't think she likes that medicine. She's not liking the medicine that we use to induce, whatever the medicine is called, I can't think. Somebody put it in the comments. But they was like, yeah, she's basically not feeling it. And so that caused her heartbeat, her heart rate to drop. And yeah, so and she was like, yeah, so she just really doesn't like the medicine. And I'm just looking at her like, didn't I tell you that I didn't want to be induced? Like, because I already kind of knew this. Like, I was like, I knew my baby wasn't going to like this mess, this unnatural stuff that y'all are trying to do to my body. Like, I was like, I told you I wanted to do it the natural way. Like, but you insisted to induce my ass. So yeah, so that happened. So she was literally looking at me like spooked, because she literally remembered that I said I didn't want to be induced. Like, so yeah, tell it. So yeah, so they turned the machine off. My doctor, well, the man doctor who was my doctor at the time, because like I said, my real doctor was out for the day, came in, and I'm starting to get freaked out, because this is exactly why I wanted a black doctor. Because I felt like they were trying to set me up. I felt like they were trying to set me up for failure. They was trying to set your girl up, okay? So I'm like, so the guy comes in, and he's like, okay, so this is what's gonna happen. He was like, you're 5 centimeters dilated, and we're gonna give her a break because her heart rate just dropped, and we don't want to keep putting all of that medicine on her, because it's putting stress on her when we're feeding her all of this medication that helps to induce you, which the medicine helps for you to have contractions. And they was like, and we need you to be feeling the contractions in order for you to be able to push during labor, to push her out vaginally. If not, if her heart rate drops again when we turn this machine back on, we're going to have to not turn this machine back on, and basically we're going to have to give you a C-section. I said, excuse me? They said, yeah, he was like, we're gonna have to give you a C-section. And I immediately started tearing up because I'm like, I do not want to have a C-section. I've heard so many bad things about C-sections. I know it's harder for you to heal with the C-section. I really did not want a scar. I'm like, I don't want a freaking C-section scar. I'm like, I love my stomach. I'm like, yeah, I've heard of people like women like dying during C-sections, and I've never had like a serious surgery like that. So I was just like very like not wanting to do it, like very scared. I think I was more scared to have to possibly get a C-section than I was to push out the baby, push out Zahara vaginally. So I was starting to get very, very upset, and Zell could tell that I was starting to get upset. So they turned the machine off, and I'm like, babe, like, I really don't want to have a C-section. He was like, just calm down. He was like, we're going to give her like an hour. She's going to be okay, or whatever like that. He was like, she's going to be good. Like they said, they're only going to turn it back on. Once they turn it back on, they'll see how she does. They was like, she's going to be good. She's going to be good. So I'm tearing up. I called my mom, and he immediately was like, babe, you want me to tell your mom to come in here? He was like, I feel like she can just calm you down a little bit better than I can right now. He was like, I really feel like you really want your mom right now. And I was like, I really do want my mommy right now. I'm like, I love my boyfriend to death, but I was like, I want my mom. Like, tell her to come in here right the freak now, because I was like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. And he was like, maybe she can just give you better advice on what you should possibly do or whatever like that. So my mom comes in for like a few hours, and I think you guys seen this on the vlog. My mom comes in, and she came in for like a few hours, and that's when my contractions started to hit. So they waited a little bit. Zell sat there a little bit, and when Zell walked out, they turned the machine back on. Maybe like, I think it was like 45 minutes later or an hour later, they gave her a little break, and then they came back and they turned the machine back on, and they turned it down a dial. She was like, we're gonna turn it down so we're not feeding her as much, like a high dosage of the medication that's in the whole inducing process. So they turned it down, and my mom came in, and honey boo boo child, I started to feel those freaking contractions. And by that time I had hit 6 centimeters when I started feeling the contractions. So I didn't start feeling my contractions until 6 centimeters. And oh, I heard a lot of questions. You guys asked me, what week was I when I went into labor? I went into labor at 38 weeks. So I was 38 weeks when I went to the hospital. So yeah, but anyways, I got sidetracked. But yeah, so I started feeling this contractions at 6 centimeters, which I was kind of thankful for. I promise you guys, if you guys don't know, my grandma passed. I actually have a video on that explaining that. I was really close with my grandmother, and my grandma passed, and Zahara has my grandma's name. Her middle name is my grandma's name, Zahara Onea. And I just was like, this is definitely my grandma helping me to have a easy and seamless labor, because once you hit 6 centimeters, you have to get to 10 before you can start pushing. And a lot of people start feeling contractions at like 3 or 4. So I didn't start feeling my contractions until like 6, which I feel like helped me to, which I feel like helped me to have like a really seamless labor, like, because I didn't start feeling the contractions until 6. But let me tell you, those contractions were still painful, you guys. They were painful. I'm not even gonna lie. Whoever said that they were like intense period cramps, homegirl, you lied, okay? Take the video down. Take the video down. It does feel like extreme period cramps, but like, I don't know, I can't really explain it. A lot of people say they have pain in their back, but I didn't have any pain in my back. It was more so just like my stomach just tensing up, like a ball. It was just like, it was like something was like squeezing me, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, so what helped me to get through my contractions was just breathing. And my mom and Zell spent a lot of their time holding my hand. Like, it just felt better to just like hold on to somebody and just like breathe. I also had a oil diffuser machine. It was like a mist machine that puts out like a nice lavender smell to make everything like very like soothing in the room and just like mellow. That really helped a lot, the lavender smell. They also put me on a peanut ball. You guys will see it in the vlog. If you watch the vlog, you'll see what I'm talking about. They had to put me on that, which was helping me for my contractions to move along. I mean, for me to dilate more. But the contractions, they're painful. On a scale from 1 to 10, the contractions are a 10. But yeah, like I said, I just did a lot of breathing, and they go quick. Like literally, the contractions are like, they go quick, and then they come closer together. So they'll come, it'll be really quick. They'll be like maybe like a minute, and you can see it on the screen like spiking up, and then they'll like stop, and then you have like the chance to breathe. But then like they get closer together. I was getting a lot of help from my nurse. She was taking me back and forth to the bathroom, which helped a lot too, because I was like full. My bladder was really full. The hardest part was walking, like getting up and like going back and forth to the bathroom was like the hardest thing for me. She was helping me a lot. It was just really hard. Like it was hard because if I was at the bathroom and I was at the toilet, or I was in the middle of walking, I would be having a contraction. And I know some people say it's easier to like stand up and walk around while you were having a contraction, but for me that shit was hard. Like I needed to be sitting down somewhere, because honey, no, I cannot be trying to use the bathroom and stand up while I'm having a contraction. It just was not. It was, girl, I was trying to hurry up to get back to that bed. So by that time, I had started dilating a little bit more. She had told me I was still at 6. So when she took me back to my bed, she was like, all right, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of, I believe I had fentanyl, I'm not sure. I had some type of pain medication. I did not want to get the epidural for nothing, because I've heard so many things about it killing your back and things like that. And like I said, I just wanted to challenge myself to do it all natural. I have a pretty high pain tolerance. I feel like I've gotten teeth pulled with no like laughing gas and things like that. So I was like, this is a little bit different than getting a tooth pulled. But I mean, teeth do be hurting, but girl, tooth pains be hurting a lot, but getting it pulled wasn't as bad as the actual pain that a tooth pain. But anyways, that's besides the point. I just wanted to try to do everything as natural as possible. So she did give me a little bit of pain medication, which it just drugged me up. It made me go to sleep. She did tell me that it was gonna make the baby a little bit sleepy, and I said, okay, that's fine. Like, I just need something, because I am starting to feel the pain more. So by that time, it was getting later. It was like maybe like probably like 10 o'clock, 10:30ish, 10:45 or so maybe. And I had fell asleep, but I woke up around like 10:45. I was out of there. By this time, my mom and Zell had done switched out or whatever. By the time I had got the medicine and all that stuff, they had like swapped back out, and he's in and my mom's out. And I wake up, and all I remember is feeling this intense amount of pain. What's wrong, baby? So at this point, I'm in excruciating pain. I'm in the bed. I wake up, but I'm still like drowsy. But I'm on the side. I'm on my side like this, on the side of the bed, hanging on to the rail. I'm hanging on, just hanging on. So I'm hanging on to the rail, and I wake up, and I'm like, Zale, I'm like, babe, I can't do this anymore. I think I need the epidural. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, I can't take it anymore. I'm like, my body can't take it. I'm like, I feel so weak. I'm like, my body feels so weak. Like, that's what it felt like. I was at the finish lines, but child, I felt like I was finished. I felt like I was dying. Like, I'm like, I feel like I'm dying. I was like, my body can't do it anymore, babe. I'm like, my body. I was like, I know my tolerance. I'm like, I can't take the pain anymore. So at this point, I still had I'm still medicated, but like, I was feeling the pain a lot. It was strong. Like, I probably definitely would have needed the epidural to not feel that pain. And that's when I started like asking for the epidural. I'm like, I need the epidural. And my boyfriend was like, you've gotten this far. He was like, you don't need it. He was like, you've gotten this far, babe. He was like, there would be no point for you to get the epidural now. He was like, you've gotten this far, so why would you go ahead and get it now when you've gotten this, this far? And he was like, I think you're at 10 centimeters. He was like, you gotta be at 10 by now. So I'm like, am I at 10? I'm like, I don't know. So the nurse, I think she could hear me like waking up. So she comes in, and she was like, all right. She was like, I'm gonna take you to the bathroom. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the bathroom. I'm like, can I get the epidural? Like that. I'm like, please. Like, so I'm like literally on the side of the bed. She was like, come on, I'm gonna help you up. So I was like, hold on, wait, I'm having another contraction. So I'm like on the side of the bed, like just like, y'all, I'm literally dying of pain. Like, literally. And so she finally helps me go to the bathroom, and I finally sit on the toilet, and like a bunch of blood is like coming out, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, ugh. I'm like, oh my god. So at this point the contraction had stopped, but they were so close together, like I barely even had time to pee, honey. Okay, so she sees like a bunch of blood coming out. She was like, oh, she was like, yeah. She was like, you look like you're ready. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready for what? I'm ready what? To have a baby? I'm ready to push her out. Like, can I push? And so I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, ah, like that. So I'm like squeezing as if you feel like you have to like poop. And I'm like, ah, like that. Like I'm on the toilet, and I was like, ah. I was like, oh my god. I'm like, I feel like I gotta poop. Ah, like my stomach is like, I'm like, ah, like, and it just felt so good to like do that. Like it felt so good to do that. Like literally, it felt so good. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I don't want to do that. I was like, cause then I feel like I'm gonna push her out like that. Cause I'm like, I feel like I feel her. Like I'm like, I feel her coming. So she was like, yeah, don't push. She was like, you don't want her to come out. Like she was like, don't push, don't push. So I'm like, okay. I was like, okay. I was like, ugh. So she was like, all right, let me help you up. So we sat there for a minute. It took me at least like a good 5 minutes to get from off of the toilet. I had to wash my hands. Like, it's no way I can't go back to the bed without washing my hands. Trying to hurry up. I'm like, all right, on count of 3, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna hurry up. I'm gonna hurry up. So I hurried up. I got up. I pulled my underwear up. I washed my hands real quick. I hurried up, and then I, like, as I'm doing that, I start having I'm like having like a semi-contraction. So I'm like this to the bed, like that. Like I started walking like that. I was like, okay, come on, like I'm ready. Like, so she was like, so she gets me in the bed. I get in the bed, and she was like, yeah. She was like, I'm gonna get ready to call your doctor. Dale was like, is she about to go into like, is it time? Is it time? So it's like probably like, I'm saying like almost 11 o'clock. So he was like, is it time? Is it time? And she was like, yeah. So he's like sitting on the chair on the side, and then like they start flickering on those big ass lights, and then like she starts putting the little things where I gotta put my legs up. That could be a thumbnail, possibly. I'm like, oh my god. So she's like about to do that, and then I see other nurses like getting ready for baby Zahara's little station where they're gonna take her to like check her and stuff like that. And they're like getting ready, they're putting on gloves and stuff like that. And they was like, yeah, so we just called the doctor who's delivering for you, and they was like, he's downstairs, so he's gonna be up in a second. We just told him or whatever. He already knew like that you were kind of gonna be getting ready to be close to, you know, being ready to deliver. I ended up being okay, like all the inducing and everything like that, I ended up being okay. Well, I didn't have to have a C-section because when they turned the machine back on, I did good. Like her heart rate didn't drop anymore. I was doing good, and everything was like going smooth. Like I told you guys, I ended up falling asleep. They're like, yeah, he's gonna be coming up. So I'm like, okay, like I'm like, he needs to hurry up. Like I felt like he was taking forever. Like I felt like he was taking forever, y'all. I'm like, he need to hurry up, he need to hurry up. And I'm like still sitting in the bed, they're putting my legs up, and I'm like, ugh, like that was the sound that I'm making. I'm like, oh, like I kept doing that. And I was like, okay, like where's the doctor at? I'm like, is he coming? Is he coming? Like, and there was another nurse that had walked in, and she was like, this bit pissed me off so bad. She was like, it was a white girl. She was like, oh my god. She was like, is this your first time having a baby? And I said, yeah, like that. I'm like, yes. And I really wanted to say, bitch, please do not try me right now, because look, just don't do it. Don't come for me right now. Please do not come for me. So I just was like trying to be kind to her, but like I told y'all, those people in that hospital were rude. Like the nurses were rude. Like they were helpful, but they were just rude. Like they had attitudes, basically. Like they didn't want to be there. Like they were tired of delivering babies. They were tired of seeing this same process. But I feel like if you go into that department and this is what you do, this is what you want to do, like you should be passionate about it. You should be like excited, like every time you deliver a new life. Like it was just crazy to me, like how rude they were. So she was like, is this your first time delivering a baby? Or she was like, is this your first time having a baby? And she was like, you must not know how this goes. And I'm like, no, I actually don't. I was like, and yes, this is my first time. And so she's just sitting there looking at me. I was like, where's the doctor? I'm like, where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? Like, I'm like, where's he at? I'm like, she was like, he's coming, he's coming. And she was like, so everybody finally starts getting in there. There were like 2 more other people. So there was the doctor, there were 3 nurses, I believe, and then there was like a nurse in the back where the baby was gonna get delivered. So she was like, I can't believe you're finna do this all natural. And I'm like, well, believe it, sister, believe it. Yeah, I'm gonna do this all natural. Like, do you have a problem with that? Like, why are you hating on me, sis? Like, sis, I just really felt like sis was hating on me. The doctor finally gets up there and he checks me, and I'm like, good, like I'm 10 centimeters. And Zell's like sitting over to the side, and I could tell Zell, my boyfriend, he was trying to, I think he was trying to record it. He was about to record the labor, and I looked at him and I said, babe, come here. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what, boy, what is you doing? Boy, what is you doing? Like, get your ass over here. Like, he was trying to record, but what he should have did was set the camera down and recorded, or grab my phone and did all of that, but he didn't. So, but he was trying to sit back and record, but I'm like, boy, you need to be up here by the bed watching your daughter get delivered, not over there to the side. I don't know what you thought you was doing, but that ain't it. No, he was really trying to record it, but I'm like, no, babe, like you need to be up here. Like, at this point, I don't care about it being recorded. I mean, I did, but if you can't get that phone sit down to the side, like, then that ain't happening. He was holding my hand. I looked at the doctor, I looked at the nurse, and I was like, she was like, okay. She was like, you can push. And I said, I can push like that. She was like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Like, so I'm like, okay, all right. And then the doctor was like, all right, you ready? Like, he was like, when you feel the next contraction, he was like, go ahead and start. He was like, take a deep breath, and he was like, and push. Girl, I took that deep breath, and I was like, like that. That was me. That was me. I'm like, like that. I don't know. I'm just thinking like I'm a push and like her head was gonna get there, but it wasn't. So I'm like, like that. So then he was like, all right, take a deep breath, Takara. Come on, come on, come on. I'm like, like I wasn't screaming. Like my mom told me like I wasn't like crying or like really like screaming. She was like, I was just like kind of like making like grunts, like I was trying to like push it out. And like Zell's over here like recording, but the whole time I didn't even realize like Zell was on FaceTime with my mom. Like I didn't know, like, because he had told my mom to be quiet, but he was on FaceTime with my mom, because that's how my mom said she knew like what I was doing. She could hear everything and stuff like that, because he had her on FaceTime. So they was like, come on, Takara. So I'm like, so what I did, I really just like really was taking deep breaths, and I just really got in tune with myself. And what really helped me was I closed my eyes. Like I closed my eyes. I felt everything, y'all. I felt everything. Like it was just felt like, I didn't feel like a burn. I felt that a little bit, but it was just like, I don't know, I can't really explain it. Like a big, just imagine like a big bowling ball trying to come out of your vajayjay. Okay, was that a bad example? I don't know if that was a bad example. That might have been a bad example. That's what it was. It was just like a big, like I felt like I was trying to have like a do like one big dookie, like. And I was like, oh, like, so I finally felt it, and I'm like, I finally like was pushing, and he was like, okay. He was like, I see the head, and that's when I felt her head. That was the part I was like, oh my god. That's when I was like, oh my god. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, like that. So I was like clenching, holding Zell. It just helped to hold Zell. Felt her head plop out. He was like, okay, like you got her head out. And then like I just had to keep pushing. And I think we did a couple of pushes. It was a couple of big pushes. And so I was in labor. We literally started the delivery at 11 o'clock exactly on the dot. And she was out at 11:16. So yeah, it took mommy 16 minutes to push you out. So yeah, it took me 16 minutes to push her out, and it was crazy. So after that, all I remember is her coming out, and I just remember them asking Zell if he wanted to cut the umbilical cord. Like she came out and she was just crying, and she's like, and I'm like, oh my god. And all I remember remember me saying was, thank you God, thank you God. I'm like, thank you God. I'm like, thank you so much God. I really was praising the Most High. Like, that was all I kept saying. My mom kept telling me, she was like, oh my God. She was like, I cried. She was like, as soon as she came out, all you kept saying was, thank you God, thank you God. I felt like that was most important for me to just thank God at that moment that we had got through that. When I seen her, she was just so cute, and so she had all her fingers, all her toes, like a handful of hair. Like, I'm like, oh my God, thank you God, thank you God. So they I didn't get any clips because we were on FaceTime with everybody. So they placed her on my chest for a quick second, and then they pulled her away. Well, Zell cut the umbilical cord, and then they pulled her away, and they started, you know, wiping her down and everything like that. And that's when I had to deliver my placenta. So you have a placenta in the inside of you, and they have to deliver it. So this part hurts really bad too. So the delivery, on a scale from 1 to 10, the delivery was a 10. I'm gonna say the delivery was like a 9. Yeah, it was like a 9. Hey, no, it was like a 10. It was a 10. It was a 10. But I think I had my eyes closed, and like, I don't know, like now, like I don't really like remember the pain as much. I mean, I remember it, but like I definitely would have another baby, like. But I don't know how I did it, y'all. I really don't know how I did it. I turned into Superwoman at that moment when I was pushing Zahara out. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, you just literally turned into a completely different person when it's time to push your baby out. Like, I'm not even kidding. So yeah, I didn't do like no like, I was more so grunting. I was doing grunts and just trying to like stay in control of my body and stay in control of my breathing so that I can push and do it seamlessly. And when I was pushing, the doctor just kept saying, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Like, they just kept saying like the way that I went about delivering her was like so seamless and like beautiful, and they didn't expect it. They did not expect it because I was a first-time mom, and they said a lot of first-time moms, what's wrong, mama? So like I was saying, they say a lot of first-time moms always say that they want to, you know, deliver the baby naturally without the epidural, and then they just freak out and act out of control, and like they're screaming and they're cussing out the doctors. It gets out of control, and that's why they said, they were like, oh my goodness, like the way that I delivered, not even to gas myself, like they kept coming into the room after our postpartum room and after I delivered her, and just kept talking about how like they were like, they expected me to act totally different, like, because I was like telling them, I'm like, y'all, where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? I'm like, where is the doctor? Like, but I kept saying that because I didn't want her to start pushing and her to come out when he wasn't there. Like, that's why I was like freaking out. Like, but once we went into that whole push mode, I was just ready. Like, I was in sync and in tune. I'm already in tune with my body, but yeah, I did it seamlessly, and I'm like really proud of myself. So yeah, they were like shook. They were shook. Okay, they was shook. So yeah, after that, back to what I was saying, you have to deliver the placenta. So as I was delivering the placenta, I did not expect it to hurt to deliver the placenta as bad. I didn't think the placenta was gonna hurt. The placenta, y'all, like that shit, I'm not even gonna lie, that shit hurts. You feel it, and it hurts because they have to press on your stomach, and like he has to press on my stomach and like get the placenta to come out. And when he was doing that, that was hurting because like my body was sore, and it just hurts. Zahara, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? It just hurts, and then it just hurts to deliver it. And then I did feel my stitches. I had 2 tears, and I did feel like him stitching, but by that time I felt like I was a little numb from delivering, but I did still feel him when he was stitching up my vajayjay, my tears. And by that time, Zahara, mommy's filming. She doesn't care. Mommy's filming. So yeah, so by that time they were like cleaning her up and getting her ready for me to do like the skin to skin and things like that. So that's how that ended up happening. And yeah, I feel like overall I had a very easy and seamless labor and delivery. I didn't have to go through like a super painful labor for a long time. from contractions from like 3 centimeters to 10. It was from 6 to 10 that I had to have contractions, which I was very happy about. Zahara, mommy's filming. What are you cooing about? It's the baby in the background for me. So yeah, so like I was saying, I just feel like I'm so happy that my labor and my delivery was seamless. And I'm just really proud of myself. Like, and I cannot believe I have a whole baby that I cannot give back to nobody. Like, it's crazy. Who let me do this ghetto ass shit? I'm just saying, like, who let me do this ghetto shit? Somebody please tell me, like, how y'all let me? This is ghetto. This is ghetto. Yeah, it's ghetto, ain't it? It's real ghetto. So I'm so happy that I had a seamless labor. I'm like really happy about that. I'm glad that my labor was really seamless. Y'all should see her, she laughed. So then when I went to my postpartum room, my real doctor, she was like, oh my gosh, she was like, everybody was talking about you. She was like, all the nurses and the doctor was bragging on you. The doctor who delivered me, she was like, they were bragging on you. She was like, and basically everybody was like, I loved her. They was like, I loved her energy. They were like, I really wish I would have caught it on camera, because looking back at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, y'all probably would have cried, like, literally watching it. I'm just so mad that we didn't catch it on camera, but it's all cool. At least my mom got to see Zahara be delivered. Yeah, she was like, yeah, like, you know, I'm so mad I missed it. She was like, they basically told me, like, you took it like a G. And I'm like, yep, sis, I sure did. I surely did. I am so blessed. I am so happy to be a mom. Y'all, everybody's labor and delivery experience is different, but my tips for you is to just focus on your breathing. Like, if you're at home right now or you're watching this video and you're pregnant, really while you're pregnant, just focus on like meditating and like focus on your breathing. Like, you just really don't let the contractions take over you. And when you're pushing, I just suggest to close your eyes and grab on to the nearest person that you can, whoever's in the room with you. That helped me. If you have to scream, do whatever you have to do. But like I said, focus on your breathing. That's going to help you a lot. That's really all I can say. It was the breathing for me, sis. So yeah, that is pretty much my experience with labor. Would I do it again? Yes, hell yes, I would have another baby. This girl is doing a freaking backflip. I wish I could see her right now. Girl, get up. Stop. No. Would I do it again? Hell yes, I would have another baby. Not right now though, like, cause I'm not about to be one of those moms who, you know, has a 3-month-old and then I'm pregnant again, like 2 months later. Like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, Zell. We are not. Like, so you can stay away from me. You can stay away from me, because this is around the time where we started, you know, making little baby Zahara. It was this month, I think, February or March. It was March. And yeah, we not doing that. So Valentine's Day, you might have to stay away from me, okay? If y'all have any other questions, please feel free to DM me on my Instagram, which is at TAKARAONEA, or you can drop a comment down in the comments below. If you're pregnant right now, you have any questions, feel free to comment them below. Have kids already? Let us know your labor and delivery stories in the comments below. Help some other first-time moms out, or, you know, moms that are just kind of fearful of the labor and delivery process. Maybe they had a bad experience the first time, so they're nervous again. Or maybe, like I said, they're a first-time mom and they just need some encouragement and motivation and like something to just, you know, calm their nerves a little bit. Definitely tell us your stories in the comments, because I want to read them and comment back and see what your guys' experiences were like, because maybe your guys' experiences weren't like mine. Like, I don't think mine was too bad. I feel like I had my labor and delivery was pretty, like I said, pretty seamless for me. So yeah. But yeah, y'all, that is pretty much it for my labor and delivery story time video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, don't forget to check out my birth vlog video, so that way you can see all the aftermath. And if you enjoyed this video, just make sure to subscribe, share it, because it helps us out a lot. And until next time, I love you guys, and me and baby Zahara will see you at the tap. Peace.